please. Let's see. That doesn't look like our staff prepared. Get the roll call, Ms. Samuels, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir. Okay. Roll call for this work session, February 16th, sir. Baker, Cox.
Here.
Dominique. Epperson.
Here.
Escaday.
Here.
Jenkins.
Present.
Lynn.
Here.
Lynch. McCulloch. Pearson.
Present.
Smith and Thibodeau. You
Here.
have a quorum, sir.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Thibodeau would lead us in prayer. Commissioner Smith in the pledge.
Lord, we ask you to touch the hearts of those that are hurting. We ask you to give us the wisdom to make wise decisions for the people of Caddo Parish. And we ask all these things in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Turn the place flag and please pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any agenda additions from the commission? Yes, Mr. Epperson.
I'd like to add an item on relative to the Caddo Parish Industrial Park at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Have moved and seconded an item concerning the Caddo Industrial Park. Any discussion on the motion?
This just allows him to add. We don't know the contents of it yet.
Well, it's about the industrial park, so. Okay. All right, no discussion. Everybody ready to vote, please? Okay, unanimous, so it's added to the agenda. Any other additions? If not, communication reports.
There's no report today coming from the administration.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. All right. Citizens' comments. If anyone wishes to address the commission on any matter other than zoning, fill out one of these cards, or if you haven't, get one filled out there in the foyer. Get the commission clerk, please. I have some people here to speak. We'll go, first of all, Mr. Kurt Foreman.
Good afternoon. My name is Kurt Foreman, 400 Edwards Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101. It's nice to be with you this afternoon. As you know, we work for you and with you as the North Louisiana Economic Partnership, and I'm here to share our thanks to you for the efforts you make in economic development to help make good things happen in Caddo Parish. There's every time we take a project to your staff, they always tell us we're going to do everything we can to make a project work, and they have done that. In a case that's before you today, we would urge you to support it and move it forward, as we need every good job we possibly can get, and Caddo Parish, again, has always done a great job at stepping up and being a pro-business and supportive of economic development, and we would like to ask you to support the quality transport request before you today. We worked on that project since October with your staff, looking at property around the area, and eventually focused on the parish property on Shirley Francis, which we think is a great spot for them and would serve them well. This is a case, as we all know, we only live a few miles from Texas, and it's not infrequent that we compete with Texas for jobs, and this and other projects that we have 73 projects we're working on right now. Many of them are competitive projects, so anything you can do to support and help those grow, we would very much appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Foreman. Next, we have Mr. Greg Morrison. Yes.
Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you.
Name and address for the record.
I'm
please.
Greg Morrison. I live at 846 Erie, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. I come to you today humbly asking you to approve the ordinance for the purchase of the property off Shirley Francis Road. Quality Transport, headquartered in Baton Rouge. We went in business in 1995. I became associated with them in 2004. And we started up here with 3 trucks, me operating out of my house, and trucks operating out of Kelly's Truck Stop. And we grew that business to about 45 trucks and about 55 employees, and opened a terminal in Wascom, Texas. And since that time, we've had an opportunity to double the size of our company. And with that comes a need for growth. Me being a lifelong resident of Shreveport, I love Shreveport. I lived in Baton Rouge for 9 years. I went back and forth over that I-10 bridge, and every day I thank Jim Gardner and the forefathers of Shreveport for making this a great city to get around in. I was proud to come home and proud to be back here. I was also proud to bring these jobs to Shreveport and Caddo Parish. I hope that you will vote with us today and allow us to consolidate and move our operations into Caddo Parish. We'll be happy. My boss is here from Baton Rouge. We'll be happy to answer any questions anybody has regarding our operation, hours of operation, how many trucks will be coming and going in a day's time. All that's a moving target, but I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
We'll not take questions at this time. We appreciate your comments.
Point of information, Mr. President.
Yes, ma'am.
I wasn't sure that we were not having a public hearing on this today. And certainly if they're going to speak to something that's on this agenda, when will we be allowed to ask questions?
Well, we're not having a public hearing on this,
Okay.
and because that is scheduled for Thursday if it's so moved. Our bylaws and rules state that the citizens can address this body on any matter other than zoning at this time.
When will we be able to ask questions?
Thursday.
And-
If there's a public hearing on Thursday.
Okay, let me be, Paul,
Pardon me?
Mr. President, actually, the public hearing on this, if it's moved to Thursday, the public hearing would be scheduled for your meeting following that on March the 4th.
2 weeks prior to that. Or, pardon me?
2 weeks after.
After that, right. Okay. Well, after everyone speaks, if there's a consensus here that we want to ask questions, then certainly we can.
I'll be happy to answer any questions you have
Our
after the
rules
meeting.
and allow
I'll
that.
stay as long as I need to stay.
Okay.
Well, I guess my question is, Mr. Grubb, because some of the comments I'm hearing, I guess, would seem to be more appropriate to a public hearing. What are the,
Morrison,
what's the order
you're
for
fine.
that?
Thank you.
Well, I mean, I think what's before the commission today is simply whether to move this forward. I think, I think the commission has the right and power to ask questions about things that come before at any time.
Okay.
I mean, I've advised y'all before to be careful about, asking questions of zoning applicants outside of the public hearing environment because of due process rights. But here, it's simply, as Mr. Escudé says, it's just following y'all's rules, which the commission's pleasure can suspend if you want to.
Okay, thank you.
Next we have Mr. Sam Lampo. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Sam Lampo. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 363600 Oaks, zip code 70808. I am the president of Quality Transport. I'm here before you today asking for your vote to sell this property to Quality Transport. I thank you for this opportunity to talk with you. Tell you a little bit about Quality Transport. We've been in business a little over 14 years. We started with 5 trucks, 5 trailers. We're up to 150 trucks and 210 trailers. As Greg mentioned earlier, we entered the Arcotech market about 5 years ago with 3 trucks, 3 trailers. And at the present time, we are operating 80 trucks and 120 trailers. The majority of that business is lube oil and bulk cement. We we have terminals in Baton Rouge and right now in Wascom, Texas. We're looking to expand. I've been a resident of Louisiana. I owe nothing to Texas. I'd like to come back to Louisiana if possible. I'd like to tell you a little bit about what we have planned for this terminal, if possible. We plan on working about 100 people to begin with, including drivers, mechanics, shop personnel, managers, and clerical personnel. The average income for these individuals will be about $50,000. Plus, we have company benefits such as paid medical and life insurance and a 401k program. On a daily basis, not all the trucks will be coming in and out of the terminal. Roughly about 25 trucks on a daily basis will be coming in and out. The rest of the trucks are making deliveries in 48 states and into Canada, and only being in and out usually once a week. Plan on building an office building and a shop maintenance facility. We have no plans to put in fuel tanks. We believe this is a win-win for the parish and for quality transport. I believe a yes vote today is a vote by this commission that tells they're pro-business and serious about economic development for the parish. I believe a no vote means they're not serious about economic development for the parish. Also, I've been dealing with the parish for almost 4 months on this issue, and time is becoming a factor. So even a no vote not only means a no vote for this property, but it's also telling me that y'all do not want quality transport in Caddo Parish. So I appreciate your time today, and I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lampo. Next, we have Bobby Corner. Name and address for the record, please.
Bobby Corner, 6600 Woolworth Road, Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm representing the community of that area where quality transport is projected to come. We are a family community, and this business is being nestled right in the middle of our community. I have lived there for 43 years, December 8th, 2010. I reared my children there, and I have other members there. We canvassed the community on yesterday. I understand it has been going on several months. We became aware of it on Friday. I feel that we should have been given some type of notification that this truck company was projected. And I speak for both black, white, and all others, because Mrs. Jernigan, who is white, it will be connected directly to her property, is what she told me yesterday, but she had to work today. So we would ask that you consider us, please, because we have worked many years to establish our lives there. We reared our children there. And I know he said he lived on Erie Street. One of the gentlemen said we live right in the community. And we have one truck stop right down adjacent to General Motors. Hazardous teams have had to come out because some of those trucks emitted fumes that were not healthy for breathing. So we have had problems there. So we plead with you, and we pray that you would deny this. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Mr. John Stewart.
I'm not alone.
John Stewart.
My name is John Stewart, address 3809 Talton Street. I don't live on the Shirley Francis Road, but I do have an interest in it because it's in the Shreveport area, West Shreveport area, rather. Normally, when a firm intend to come into an area, they do address the community. As the lady just said, that hadn't been done. Within the last 4 years in my neighborhood, we have had to come before the MPC, asking not to rezone the property because they intended to build a truck stop as well as a truck dealership. The MPC did vote with the neighborhood. A certain quality of life will be lost if this truck stop is erected there. I know the gentleman said they would have about 100 jobs, but I ask you this, how many of those 100 jobs are going to be for the community? in the area where I live, the truck stop is Petro off of I-20 at various times. Those truck drivers get lost off of I-20 going east and west, and they come to Greenwood Road or Highway 80, and they make a turn in our neighborhood. Our neighborhood has been able to collect thousands of dollars from the truck drivers' insurance because they were turning in our neighborhood. So you can imagine what's going to happen to Shirley Francis Road when you start getting at least 25 trucks per day. So I ask you on behalf of these neighbors, I don't know any of them personally, but on behalf of those neighbors, I ask you to extend on property. Thank you.
Thank you. Susan Winkler. Okay, I got you. All right. Thank you. Kathy LeBlanc.
I'm Kathy LeBlanc, and it's 10071 Winding Ridge, Shreveport, Louisiana, 7106. I'm come to you, speaking to you on behalf of the residents who are at the Veterans Home in Bossier City. As you know, there's going to be quite a bit of state funding cuts to our veterans there. One has already occurred. We do not have a pharmacist or a pharmacy. And fortunately, they're letting our in-house positions stay, but they also have plans to cut a nurse practitioner. As a nurse, and also my father is a resident there, and I know it's difficult for the public to understand and nurses giving medicines, but without the pharmacy, it's been most difficult for those nurses to give medicines to the veterans there. It is most time-consuming. The old way, which they had, were blister packs for each patient. They looked at the patient's name. They were at the door of the patient. They punched out the medicine. They gave them the medicine in a time that is complying with Louisiana State Board of Nursing. Now they have to go into a medicine room. They take several minutes pouring up medicines on 30 to 40 patients, not in blister packs. They're all in bottles and bottles and bottles of medicines where they have to pour in makeshift cups in order to give the patients their medicine, and then go down the hall and do this. And a lot of times the nurses are interrupted. So there is such a huge room for error in drawing up these medicines as well. And also counting narcotics used to be the same way. Just look at the card, you know how many narcotics are there. Now they have to pour each bottle out and count each pill as well. So it leaves room for a lot of errors to be made in giving medicines to our veterans. And like I said, it's very time-consuming. This is a great facility. I know a lot of people say, well, other nursing facilities do not have the things that we have now. Well, this is not another nursing facility. This is a home where our veterans live. And the quality has to be of a higher standard. My father has been there almost 2 years. After he had been here a month, we asked him, what do you think about the care that you're getting there? And he said, they treat me like I'm the President of the United States. And I'd like for us to be able to say that about all of our veterans' homes in Louisiana. And we would ask that you share with us and not voting for any cuts. We do not want any cuts at all to our veterans. I think the state pays about $20 a day for a veteran. And we don't want that little $20 a day cut, which it could give them a pharmacy, a pharmacist, a nurse practitioner, and also keep our position. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. LeBlanc. Susan Duhon? How do you go? How do you do it?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Susan Duhon. I reside at 399 Amy Street in Manny, Louisiana. My husband is a patient at the Northwest Louisiana War Veterans Home. If I may, I would like to give you a little bit of background information for that home. The state currently owns 5 War Veterans facilities. These are regional facilities designed with one common goal, and that is to provide a level of care that is our responsibility to give back to these veterans. The veterans in the War Veterans Home have provided us the freedoms with which we live today. And the state also says that we want to treat these veterans with dignity. These men and women have given their hearts and their health to our state. So, in the case of the 5 war veterans homes, the federal government provided funding and the state provided funding. And then these homes were turned over to the state. In northwest Louisiana, Bossier City, our war veterans home was funded 65% by the federal government and 35% by the state. The federal government continues to support the veterans in this home. The federal government provides $78 per day for veteran care. The veteran himself provides $54 a day for his care, and the state provides $20 a day for these veterans. Last fall, it was announced that the governor was going to impose a mid-year budget cut, and that mid-year budget cut was going to affect the 5 state-run war veterans homes. Those war veterans homes were going to lose the doctor, the nurse practitioner, and the pharmacist. That mid-year cut is effective Friday, February 19th. The new budget for the governor, from the governor to the Congress, is also projecting major budget cuts for these war veterans homes. As Ms. LaPointe indicated, why do our war veterans need a doctor? Well, let me explain it very simply. My husband was 47 years old when his brain was erased by his military duties in Desert Storm. He had been shot down in Vietnam as well. We need to be able to care for war veteran issues. We're looking at young soldiers coming from Iraq and Afghanistan. We must be prepared to care for these young men and women. Under no circumstances is a nursing home which is designed to very competently treat elderly patients prepared to treat war veteran injuries. It is our duty, it is our responsibility, and it is our pledge to these veterans that we will care for them. Our pledge. We will take care of them. We need to fully fund the war veterans homes. We need to make sure that all of our loved ones are cared for in a manner that they should be. It is our responsibility, our duty. We enjoy those freedoms every single day. If you don't mind, indulge me and the people who've come with me who have loved ones at the war veterans homes, I'd love to have them stand. We're tiny in number, but we're massive in voice. We have sent so many postcards to the governor. We have met with the Congress in Baton Rouge. We've sent letters. We've tried the media. We need your help, and we so appreciate anything that you can do to stand up and be part of. No, don't just be the leader. One voice that says, no, we've had enough. Cut new road signs. Cut something. I know we need to budget. But let's don't put a spreadsheet onto our loved ones, our veterans' lives. Thank you so much for your time. I look forward to your voice. Better than mine, I hope. Thank you.
Thank you. Freddie Elmore.
Gentlemen, ladies, I'm Freddie Elmore. I'm from El Dorado, Arkansas, 3601 Woody Drive, 71730. I can't top that. She said it all. That is one of the best facilities I have ever seen. The men, the ladies out there, they have all served their country, and y'all religiously. honorably. You know, they've been there, they've done it. I wish all of you could go and look and see what they do to them, how good they're treated, how well they like where they're at. There's nothing I can say that would represent what they do that you could not see unless you went and physically saw it yourself. The nurses, with these budget cuts coming up, they don't have time. They need more staff now, but you know they're going to have less staff. They're not cutting the doctor Friday like they were going to. Something came up. They got a little more money, I guess, but they have already lost a pharmacist. They're losing their nurse practitioner Friday. They need help. What you can do, all you can do, just reach deep, think about it. If there's anybody you can know in Baton Rouge to help, that's all we're asking for. Just help. They need help, and that's all I got.
Thank you very much. All right. That being all the cards I have, we will go ahead and continue and move through our business, and at the appropriate time, we will go ahead and take questions. Mr. Epperson, do you have something?
Yes. I would like to post for the record some petitions of opposition to the truck terminal being located in the Caddo Parish Park. I have a letter from Angel Wings Daycare Center located at the intersection of Shirley Francis Road and Woolworth Road, Mr. William Griffin. They are opposed to that. The road is very narrow. There's no way that any two vehicles can make a right turn there at one particular time. And I also have petitions of opposition from the Burning Bush Missionary Baptist Church. Reverend Barry Kimball is pastor, 6802 Woolworth Road. About 39 opponents, parishioners, and persons that live within that area opposing this truck stop. Pastor Kimball has quite a bit of an experience with trucking companies. He's very versed. He had worked at one time for the Calumet Industries in Princeton, Louisiana. He's very familiar with hazardous waste, swap, and all of those things. I also have a petition that was signed by the majority of the neighbors of Mrs. Corner's neighborhood. Mrs. Corner's had a problem with the existing trucking company that was built a couple of years ago, and we just resolved those issues the latter part of last year. I have about 39 of those residents from Tanner Road, Woolworth Road, where these trucks will be turning in within that tight corridor. Finally, I have a petition of opposition from Calvary Pentecostal Church, 6811 Woolworth Road, located right at the intersection basically of Shirley Francis and Woolworth Road also. Pastor Daniels, Cecil Daniels is the pastor, and I would like to ask the commission clerk staff if they would make copies of this and put this in for the record.
All right. Next old business, we have none. New business. Mr. Clerk.
Have we had administration report?
Yes, sir.
Okay. New business. Ordinance 4967, amended Code of Ordinances regarding commercial vehicle enforcement, provide establishment of reasonable uniform supplemental road and bridge use regulations for various fines and penalties.
Moved by Mr. Smith. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Cox. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Jenkins?
Well, actually, Mr. President, I know that the administration didn't do a report, but I thought we still have an opportunity to make any kind of request for information.
Well, okay.
We'll
backtrack to that at the end, if you don't mind.
Okay, but that's what I was on.
Yes, sir.
Not this.
Okay, thank you. All right. Any discussion on this motion? Please vote. That passes. Next item, please.
Ordinance 4968 relocates the polling place for precinct 126 from the Caddo Fire District number 6, Linwood Avenue, to the Faith Baptist Church.
So moved. Moved by Commissioner Cox. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Dominic. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote. That passes. Next item, please.
Ordinance 4969, amend and reenact Ordinance 4851, authorizing acceptance of an irrevocable donation of certain property in the parish from OSL Properties.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Jenkins,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pearson. Is there any discussion on this motion? Vote, please. That passes. Next item, Mr. Clerk.
Ordinance 4970 authorizes the sale of approximately 35 acres of property to Quality Transport, Inc.
Move to Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Thibodeau. Hang on a second. Seconded by Commissioner Smith. And we have discussion on the motion. Commissioner Thibodeau, do you have anything?
I simply felt that that this needs to come before the full commission. Something this size needs to be determined by the full commission and not by just a committee.
Thank you. Mr. Smith, you second. Do you have anything?
I think he's exactly right. I got his email just like you did, and most of us have been out there and looked at this, and I still feel very positive about it. I understand the neighborhood concern, but I think it is an industrial park, and it's zoned that way, and I think that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioner Apperson.
Mr. Chairman and colleagues, I figure this issue is moot. I think it's an illegal item that has been put on the agenda. I think we are possibly in violation of the possibly some ethics laws and possibly some sunshine laws. If you can recall, it's my understanding that someone from the administration called Mr. Thibodeau and told him to schedule a meeting of the Economic Development Committee to meet upon this issue. Also, based on what I've heard here today, there has been ongoing negotiations since October of last year, which my first knowledge was on February the 4th, which I find quite appalling with me being the commissioner within District 12 and being elected to represent the citizens of my district, and also coming into a fresh situation where a truck stop has been having an issue with the community that we finally got rectified some almost 3 years after the truck stop at the truck terminal had been completed. I think we should have heard some records. I'm going on my 15th year on this body. Collectively, been through a number of meetings. It appeared to me in the past that we had always had written records of basically every meeting that was transpired. Because basically we don't have anything to go by except for he say, she say, and they say. And we know in this day and age, with the new ethics laws, the sunshine laws being changed, those things have to change. We even came from putting an item on the agenda where you could just arbitrarily put it on by because a commissioner wanted to do it, to where it has to be unanimous now. So we can ensure that we had open meetings, that the public was fully and aware and notified in advance, whereas they'd have an opportunity. But what has transpired here, it appears as though something was kind of under the table, and I can't understand it. I don't think anyone in this audience or any one of you sitting up around this podium today would want a situation like that to come up into your household. A committee meeting was called. We had much discussion. Minutes were recorded. There should have been some action by that body taken, and I think it was, but what it was, I don't know. And I think we need to know that. Now, based upon hearsay, I'm saying that they said we are supposed to go back and meet with the folks and talk a little bit more in discussion and see what we can come up with. But hey, when that committee meeting was called, it was publicized in accordance with the open records law. It was posted within the appropriate time. So what happened up here on last Wednesday, I find it to be a violation of the sunshine law. Basically, you had a handful of people that went up and finished the work of a duly appointed committee of this body, which was given a charge. What transpired upon last Wednesday should have came back to a committee, been discussed, then a proper vote taken, then it come back to this full body let them know what the decision of that committee was, because that was their charge. I think to act upon this today would be a blatant violation of the Sunshine Law. I think we will have an ethical violation. And I remember, I saw seeing an email that I believe Mr. Thibodeau, the chairman, stated that I feel that as chairman, that this should go back to the full body. That's not the way that the committee works. Should have had the informational meeting, should have come back into your committee, got an appropriate vote on your committee, then whatever the wishes of that committee were should have been presented to this full body. So therefore, I think this is a moot issue, and that this item on the agenda today is in direct violations with the Sunshine Law, and it's mute, and we should move on to the next order of business.
Thank you, Mr. Epperson. Mr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to make a motion that this matter be tabled until our meeting on March 4th. If I can get a second on it.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that this matter be tabled. You may speak on it?
Yeah, let me speak on it. Mr. President, I don't have anything against bringing jobs and things like that to our parish. I don't know if that has to be done at this particular location, though. I don't know if there are some other, maybe some other locations that can be considered for this company. I don't know anything about the company. I certainly don't have anything against the company. I heard what those representatives had to say. But I'm sitting here today. There's no ordinance in my folder. I don't know if somebody else has one or not. The ordinance itself is not in here. There's no proposed deed. There's nothing here talking about the terms of what this sale is all about. But yet, we've been asked to move forward with it and selling 35 acres of property. I, too, think it's something that needs to be hashed out a little bit more in committee. And then bring it back to the table with all of the information. I sat in on some of the meetings, and what I gathered from that, and I know Commissioner Epperson has some concerns about it being in that area, but what I gathered from that was that some negotiations were taking place. Now, I don't know what has happened since then, what the finality of that is all about, but I think if we're going to sell 35 acres of property, we certainly need to take a thorough look at it. And I would like to actually see the proposed ordinance, the proposed deed, the terms of the sale, how did we come up with this? And I also think it'll be good if we could look at maybe some alternative locations for the business. So that's the reason behind my motion. Give us a little bit more time to take a look at it.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Anyone want to speak on Mr. Jenkins' motions? Ms. Lynch?
Is there a reason why we don't have the ordinance in here today?
To table.
Is there a reason why we don't have it? I mean, we go up to 4969, and then it jumps to resolutions.
Okay, hold on. Mr. Thibodeau has pointed out something real important. There is, according to our rules, there is no debate on the table motion, so we need to vote on Mr. Jenkins' motion or not.
I didn't understand. Say that again now.
There is no debate on a motion to table a matter, so we either need to vote on your motion or not. So, at this time, we need to vote on Mr. Jenkins' motion to table this matter. Once Ms. Samuels gets ready.
All right. Well, let's be clear on the vote now. If you're in favor of tabling this item, vote no.
No.
Just vote yes.
Yes,
to
yes,
table.
okay.
If you're against tabling it,
Yes, no, no.
vote no. Okay.
Trying to do that. Mind game. Too hard there for a second. Okay, that fails. Now we're back to the original motion, and let's see. We had it in line here.
Can we still speak on the motion, Mr. President?
Yeah, I'm trying to find out who's in line. Let me get my screen back here. Thank you. Thibodeau.
I was asked by the administration if I would call a meeting of the Economic Development Committee, of which I'm
chairing this year. I did. I can't imagine there being any ethics violation when the recommendation here is to bring it out in public as we're doing now. There were a lot of discussion that took place in the committee meeting. Mr. Epperson was there. And what came out of that committee meeting was for the benefit of Mr. Epperson or any other commissioner who wanted to attend, was to meet with the owners of Quality Transport to ask them any questions that they wish to ask. And that's exactly what happened. I did not see any need to meet again with the committee. It was time to give this to the whole commission. We're talking about an operation that wants to pay us about $500,000 for the property. They want to spend $1 million to build a building, and they want to have $5 million worth of payroll. Now, I would think as a responsible commissioner that I need to bring this to the whole commission to let them make the decision. If the commission says, no, we don't want that, then that's the end of it. But it does no good for it to go back to the committee. It was time for it to come to the full commission. And that was a decision I made, and as the chairman, and if that was wrong, then it was wrong. But we can go have 19 more meetings on this in this committee, but the bottom line is this still has to come to the full commission. So that's what I did. I'm bringing it to the full commission for the commission to make a vote, to make a decision. And I'll be honest with you, for anyone to say that this is an ethics violation, I have a problem with it, and tell me that something was done under the table, I have a problem with it. If you have some proof that I have done something wrong, or that someone else has done something wrong, then dadgum, you need to tell me. But don't just start making all this stuff up because you were upset that somebody didn't get in touch with you. That was a mistake by the administration that he was not properly notified. I would be upset if it had been in my district and had not been properly notified. But to say this is an ethics violation or something done on the table is not acceptable to me, and I will suggest that anyone wishing to do that needs to do that publicly and to bring something forth with proof.
Okay, we're on the first go-round. Mr. Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to go back and once again say, I'm all for economic development in our parish, and I don't know anything about the company, don't have anything against them, but I'm going to say again, we've been asked to sell 35 acres of parish property. There's no ordinance here today. There's no proposed deed. The terms are not clear to me. I've heard something about there was a meeting with the representatives of Quality Transport. Now, I attended a committee meeting that some representatives were there. I don't remember being there. I just happened to come to that meeting because I was down here on other business. But the only point I'm making is I'm being put in a position to vote no because I wouldn't sell my own property without seeing something in writing. It doesn't make sense. And I don't know if this is something that's going to develop between now and Thursday, but my position right now is if you're telling me today, and I think that's what a work session is all about, you're supposed to have an opportunity to get information, try to get some questions answered, and kind of look into detail of what we're voting on. But I'm being put in a position here today, and I just want the representatives of this company to know I've been in a position here today where I can't support what's going on if we don't have the information and the documents we need to make a good decision. So that's where I'm at on it right now. Nothing against the company, but you need to give us information.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Commissioner Lynn?
When this first came to committee meeting, I felt like I went over it with a fine-tooth comb. Today I traveled out to the site where the proposed company would locate. One thing I am curious, what year was that land established as an industrial park?
I believe in 1985. Robert, do you have the date on that?
We acquired the land in, acquired the land in January of 1973, and it was zoned I-1 in 1984.
So it was zoned industrial in 1984, and so anybody that bought a business or a daycare or whatever, knew that that land was industrial when they built their property. There's 3 older homes across the street that I noticed, but I didn't hear anybody from those 3 homes that I felt that it would impact the most. The fact that Caddo Parish is selling land for less than the appraised value upset me, because then they're in competition with private landowners trying to sell their land for a fair market value. And so then you have to justify that by saying, well, it's only doable if they're bringing jobs to Caddo Parish. Now, this might be splitting hairs. However, they technically are bringing jobs to Caddo Parish. Granted, they're bringing them from Texas, from Wascom, and they're bringing them from Bossier Parish, but they are bringing jobs that aren't in Caddo Parish to Caddo Parish. And so the last catch on me feeling that this was okay was that one issue, was that they are bringing jobs to Caddo Parish, which does constitute selling the land for less than the appraised value. I do realize that there's another piece of land that's a little bit less. However, the timetable or whatever, that it would be as much of an impact on the neighborhood as what this would. It probably wouldn't be as nice. I went out there today. I drove right past the entrance to this industrial park, turned back around, found the nicest driveway that I could find, and that was it. And you go back 100 feet or so and saw where it teed off. I met today with Attorney Grubb to ask him some particulars. Those particulars, he said he did not have the answer to today, and he promised me he would have those answers on Thursday. And so with that, I'm willing to move this to Thursday to see what he has to show me on Thursday. This can be killed today. It can be killed next Thursday. It can be killed one more time after that. And so I think that we at least need to have all the cards on the table before we kill anything. And so I'd like to see the rest of the cards, and I won't be able to see those till next week. So I'm going to vote to move this to Thursday.
Thank you,
Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynch. Commissioner Lynch.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. On the final.
You're on there, but you're not next.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Commissioner Lynch.
Oh, you said Lynch. I thought you
Yes.
said
Coming.
They sound alike.
Watch out, Sam. Careful.
I am, I hate that we're having to kind of air our dirty laundry on this matter today, and I feel a little put out that we've been put in this position by the actions of the administration and possibly some of our colleagues. But I know I may have changed wigs since we had that last committee meeting, but my memory, I think, may be pretty good. I thought when we had the committee meeting, the recommendation that was voted on in the committee was to go back and meet with the representatives of the company to discuss other locations, to answer the questions of the commissioner of the district, and to bring that information back to the committee. Price was not discussed. Whether we were actually going to sell this land was not discussed. None of that was, we were moving forward with that. It was just to get those questions answered and to find out if they were amenable to considering other locations. Now, am I missing that motion? I think you made the motion, Mr. Thibodeau. Well, I mean, I made the motion and you kind of fixed it up for me. Is that
Yeah, and I
your
think
understanding?
those questions were answered at that meeting.
Okay. And that information was going to be brought back. You know, I didn't know that we were having a fire sale on property in Caddo Parish. And that particular portion of it was not discussed. And so, without having any paperwork, what are we entering into? What are we saying we're moving to Thursday, to sell the property or to sell the property be at a certain amount, or just to say that we're selling it? I mean, I don't have any paperwork. What's before us?
The question you're posing to the administration?
Yes.
Well, let me say, first of all, Commissioners, that I'm not sure why the ordinance is not in your folder, but Donna's upstairs getting it. All the ordinance does... When you get through the whereas clauses, and all I have it handed out to you now is
Okay,
basically...
just give us a few minutes so we'll all be looking at it at the same time, please. Leave some of these ones. Okay, so we're saying it's no longer needed for public purposes, it's surplus property.
I guess my...
Okay, let me just go through here, well, okay, so I have the paperwork in front of me. Well, some of it. Let me finish. Okay, it says the property has a current appraised value of $17,500 per acre. As I appreciated, the information we were given in the committee meeting was that the appraised value ranged between $10,000 and $27,000.
No, 12,005. It was 15,000 and 17,000.
Okay.
That was the range. The high and the low. The high was 17.5 and the low was 15,000.
I thought the low was 10, the high was 27, and the average was 17.
Oh, ma'am. Robert, you had
Do you have that information that you?
Yes,
I didn't
ma'am,
bring it back with me, but.
Robert, would you state the high and lows of the appraised?
Do you have the sheet that you all passed out to the committee? The packet that you all passed out to the committee last week? Do you have that?
I don't think there was a packet per se passed out other than that little.
We were given a little summary, right? Do you have
summary.
that?
I've only got one.
Okay. Does it have on there? Does it have 10 and 27 or 10 and 17?
15. It's range from $27,917 to $10,500. Average $1,760, and they put it on the appraisal as $17,500 per acre.
Okay. Like I said, I changed wigs. I didn't think my memory was that bad. Okay, so this is saying that the property has a current appraised value of $17,500 per acre, which that's an average. That's not the appraised value. That's an average of the...
That's what an appraisal is an average.
Okay, so you averaged four different ones. Okay. They offered to purchase the property for $12,500 an acre. Within 1 year, transfer title. Well, I'm not going to try to sit there and read that now, but, okay, that's what I wanted to be clear on.
Thank you.
Well, let me make sure. I just want to clarify that when we left the meeting, there was a vote made duly by the committee to do specifically, to get back with them to talk about an alternate location and to give the commissioner of the district an opportunity to have some questions answered, and I think they asked Commissioner Cox as well, because of his background in trucking, to be there as well. And that information was going to be brought back to the committee. That was my understanding. And so I was a little surprised that it showed up on the agenda without having that additional information and having to flesh this out today. because I don't think there was a consensus as to us even selling the property at $12,500. And I understand what the appraisal is, and I understand all of that, but I think the location was the primary issue. We did not even get to discussing the other issues, whether we needed to if we wanted to do it, whether we needed to add some other, conditions to the sale, dealing with noise or traffic or anything else, road repair or whatever. None of that was discussed, and we did not have an opportunity to discuss whether whether we were going to accept the offer or whether we felt that offer needed to be, whether we needed to make a counter offer on that. And so I'm a little surprised as well that negotiations in earnest have been going on for about 4 months. I certainly, as president of the commission last year, had no absolute knowledge that we were in good faith negotiating on property on behalf of the Caddo Parish Commission. I am concerned about some of the comments that I heard today coming from I'm not sure if he said he was the owner of Quality Transport, about what our vote reflects. Because I've certainly never, in the 6 years I've been here, I don't know him, I've never met him. And to judge the economic development initiatives or concerns about this governing body based on how we vote on your particular property is a little short-sighted in my opinion. I think it's a judgment call that I don't think you can make off of one vote, given the cumulative amount of hard work that the members of this body have done, in the last 15 years in the case of Mr. Epperson and almost 12 years in the case of Mr. Pearson, and 6 years, I think, in the case of myself and Commissioner Baker and Commissioner Cox. So I'm a little concerned about that. The other is Mr. Foreman. I just want to make sure, because we've gone through this a number of times with the chamber, that the commission is the ultimate decision-making authority for Caddo Parish, and that to the extent that something is going on that's going to ultimately end up in front of us, we need to be on the front end of that. The commissioners need to be there. You can't say that the administration is pro-economic development, they do all of this. They are an extension of us. They don't act in and of themselves. They're an extension of this body. And so to the extent that they're cooperating and that they're going to go about economic development, that's because we are. It's not just because Mr. Wilson is. And so we need to make sure, going forward, Mr. Wilson, that Caddo Parish Commission, the Commissioner of the District, as well as the leadership, is aware when these matters are on matters such as this that are ultimately going to come back to this entire body. So I just want to be clear on that. I want to reiterate that again to the chamber, the NLCOG and all of these other groups, the port and all of these other groups. It's a partnership. But the elected body cannot be left out and put in the position to where, we look like we don't know what's going on. I mean, we're out there every day, and we're elected to represent the citizens of Caddo Parish. And and we're going to do that. And I think we've done that well and admirably. So thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Commissioner Lynch. Next, we have Mr. Cox. As a brief reminder, I'd like to remind you all, according to our rules, you have 5 minutes. I will not indulge you any further. Thank you.
How you tell? All right. Like I said, I was a part of that meeting after the Economic Board had met and asked me to sit in on this, because at first, I will be the first to tell you, and I told Mr. Epperson I had issues with the amount of trucks that was being talked about. Went out to the location, not once but twice. Being in the trucking industry, I feel that the comments I'm fixing to make here should give emphasis on what we need to do, okay? The area that this proposed truck terminal, and it is not a truck stop. There is a big difference between a truck stop and a truck terminal. The proposed terminal is in Caddo Parish. On one side of it, there is a business that has a truck dock, which, as of today, I counted 9 trailers and 4 trucks at that location. On the other side of this property, there is a parish-owned compact site. We have trucks going in and out of this road of Shirley Francis every day. If you go back up to Woolworth, and the proposed route from the company is to go back to Burt Coons, we have less than a half a mile, quarter mile at most from that turn to Burt Coons. I will be the first to admit to Mr. Jenkins, to Mr. Epperson, and anybody who's went out there, yes, it is a tight turn. I understand that. But if you go to the right, if you come out of Shirley Francis, you have a subdivision there. It is a subdivision that has a privacy fence to it. It is a subdivision that right now has a area next to it, I guess you would call that south of the property line. And as of today, there was a sign going up, commercial property will build to fit your needs. So not only is this company looking to move out there, the company that owns, or the property owners that own that land next to the homeowners are looking to put more business there. So we have to look at this 2 ways. One, it's in Parish. The terminal itself will be in the parish. Once you hit Woolworth Road, I believe that's city. Okay? So it's kind of a catch-22. Okay, we're doing half of the work. The city's going to have to do the other half to maintain that road. They're only going to have 25 trucks on an average out before 9 o'clock. The other ones are going to be basically office workers, dock workers, stuff like that. The meeting that we had after the economic board meeting, I sat in on. We talked to the gentleman from the truck company, and at the end of that meeting, it was basically Mr. Thibodeau, myself, Mr. Epperson, and Mr. Smith that was in there. Am I correct on that? Just us 4?
I think so.
The parish attorney was in there, and the agreement was that, we need to get this due to time because these gentlemen have a business to run. They're trying to bring a business here, and it was decided by the chairman of the board to go ahead and make a motion to bring it to y'all and put it on today's agenda, which I agree, because realistically, we got a bird in the hand, and if we don't take action, that bird's going to fly away. Whether we vote on it to let it come in or not, this gentleman has got a time frame. Now, whether that goes against what we do here or whatever, I'm to the point now where we either need to make a decision and let this man go on about his way, or make a decision and let this man build this truck terminal. As I sat out there today, and as I sat out there last week after we had our meeting, I saw Conway, I saw Roadway, I saw Averett, I saw many, many truck companies go up and down that road. That is, at first I didn't know what it was. I always said to Mr. Epperson, I said, man, it's a set of woods. I didn't even know it was an industrial park. But it is. Yes, there's homes out there. I understand that. Yes, there's a subdivision out there. I understand that. But there's also big business out there. Up and down Woolworth Road and up and down Shirley Francis. So, do we or do we not support 100 jobs or not? Plain and simple. That's what we're talking about here. I understand the residents. I understand the ladies lived out there a long time. I understand that the subdivision was probably only there about 6-8 years.
Whoever built it, whoever got the zoning for it, they should have known there was an industrial park right around if they went before the MPC. So, we need to do what's right, get this moved to Thursday, hash it out between now and Thursday, and let this man either have it or let him go on and find some other place. Because other locations were discussed. There is none. He's looking for a certain acreage. This is it. We couldn't split him up. We can't have a terminal in one area and a truck parking lot in another area. Can't do it. So, I'll be honest with you, I was against it at first, but I can tell you after looking at it, I can't feasibly tell you that it's the wrong thing to do, because I don't think it is. And with respect to Mr. Epperson, they asked me to tag in because of my expertise in trucking of 24 years. That's my opinion. So, I appreciate it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Cox. Ms. Baker.
Thank you, Mr. President. I don't want to be repetitive on some things. A lot of things I've heard other commissioners say was my same thoughts, preferably the things that Commissioner Lynch was speaking of in the economic development meeting that we had 2 weeks ago. It was to my understanding as well that from that meeting, because of some of the concerns that some of the commissioners had, preferably the commissioner who is in that district, Commissioner Epperson, and as well as some of the commissioners on the Economic Development Committee, that we had some concerns and some questions that you all were going to plan on having a meet with the people at Quality Transport and get some answers and bring those answers back to us who are actually members of the Economic Development Committee. Now, I can say that during that meeting that the Economic Development had, and you planned on having a meeting with Quality Transport, I myself, as a committee member of Economic Development, was not one who was supposed to be a part of the meeting on last week, but I was thinking maybe that I would get some type of information or something to let me know what actually was going on versus coming in here today, seeing this ordinance on the agenda for us to actually vote on, to move to Thursday to actually pass on, and then get an embarrassing note of getting the ordinance passed out to us, and it's not even signed, nothing, meaning that it was just made up for somebody to just do, or even just make the decision on. So that was kind of appalling to me, and I know all of you all know that I've verbally spoken out at the Economic Development Committee meeting 2 weeks ago saying that I was not in favor of this truck terminal because of the fact that I was going to vote with the heart of the people. It was like putting a truck terminal in those people's front door, like putting another liquor store in District 6, in which is something that I did not want to do. And nobody seemed to even try to get me any information on it. We talked about possibly offering them other pieces of land. Nobody got back in touch with me, and I just heard Commissioner Cox say that the chairman made a motion at this Wednesday's meeting to bring this issue to the actual commission board, and I'm wondering, was it a quorum there from the Economic Development Committee to make a motion? Yeah. So, I mean, I'm just kind of like, I'm not understanding what's going on here. So, I'm not saying that I'm against economic development. I'm the #1 person for economic development. But one of the main questions that was raised in that Economic Development Committee meeting 2 weeks ago was, of course, they're talking about bringing 100 jobs here. People can talk about bringing jobs here day and night. But one of the questions that we had as Economic Development Committee members were, how many of the Caddo Parish residents were going to be hired in that 100 jobs that they were bringing here? We never got any information on that. We never got questions answered on that. So today I am not going to vote for this resolution to be, orders to be moved to Thursday because of the fact that I just didn't get enough information on it to make a decision on it today. Thank you, Mr. President.
Anyone else first round? Commissioner Lynch.
Call for the question.
Second. Moved and seconded. The question be called for. All right. Vote, please.
Call the question.
Motion passes. Question's been called for. Move this on Thursday.
The motion on the floor is,
Move it to Thursday.
okay, let's vote.
Tie. Fails.
Thanks, so it is.
Next item.
All right. Next, Mr. Clerk.
Yes, sir. Next would be the Resolution 15, urges the legislature to terminate the Caddo Parish Jail Site Fund.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Lynch.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Lynn. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote. Passes. Next item, please.
Resolution 16 opposes the Louisiana Department of Veterans Affairs removal of positions of physician assistant and pharmacist from the budget of the Northwest Louisiana War Veterans Home.
Recommend for Thursday.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Pearson. Any discussion on the motion?
Yes.
Pardon me?
Yes.
Mr. Cox?
With the people that are represented here today, and when I read in the paper and heard about what the Governor General had done, and this is one thing that Mr. Epperson and I do strongly agree on, along with anybody else, the Governor is wrong in this substance. He never should have done this to a veteran's home, no matter whether it's in North, West, South, East Louisiana. He needs to reevaluate how he feels about our veterans. They serve their country. They deserve better than this. And in doing so, he has basically slapped every person who calls that home. I would ask, along with any support from Mr. Epperson or anybody else on this body, to send a resolution directly to the governor's desk, telling him not to do this and revoke what he has put in order. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Cox. Commissioner Jenkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to echo the sentiments of Commissioner Cox, and I'm glad that, I wanted to make sure that this just wasn't a resolution we was doing that was going to get lost in the shuffle. And I agree with you. I hope some special effort is made to make sure that it's brought to the governor's attention. I know that's a young man now with a lot that he has to do, and a full plate, and I know making cuts are probably something that's not easy, and it's probably not anything of a pleasure to him. But I certainly hope that our resolution will lend some voice of support. And I simply want to say to the families that are here today, we certainly appreciate you coming down, and we appreciate the service of your family members. Just know that those of us, some of us who have been in the service, and all of us who have not, recognize the need to care for our veterans. So I just want to commend you for coming down and saying something about it, and not allowing it, simply try to work itself out. So often people do that. But your presence here today made a lot of difference. So continue to fight the good fight of faith. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. Commissioner Pearson?
Yes, as President-elect of the State Police Bureau Association, I'd like to urge Commissioner Jenkins as well as Commissioner Epperson to make sure that out of your respective committees that we get a resolution coming from the State Police Bureau Association going to the governor as well, and whatever I need to do to make sure that comes out of committee, Ken and Sam, then I'll be prepared to do that.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Pearson. Commissioner Epperson?
Mr. Cox, Mr. Pearson, Mr. Jenkins, I have discussed this with Mr. Spears, the Commission Clerk, and in the event that this resolution did make it, that we would send copies to Governor General, as well as all of our state legislative delegates. And also I spoke with Roland Ortez with our Police Bureau Association. He told him once it passes, make sure we get 30 copies and get them to Mr. Pearson and he'd get them to the resolution committee where the association would pass one also.
Thank you. Commissioner Thibodeau.
Just want to remind him, when we, if you talk to the governor or we write to him, remind him that there are tens of millions of dollars of NGOs that the state's paying out that, although is important, is not it comes below the priority of a veterans home. And with all the funded rounds of golf that weren't played in South Louisiana and the Purple Circle, Jerkle, or whatever it was, that they had $500,000 spent down in New Orleans. I find it hard to believe that they don't have the money to take care of veterans. And, people need to get their priorities correct and get it straight. And if we can remind our senators and then our representatives and the governor that there's money there. There's no doubt there's money there. It just has to be put there.
Thank you, Commissioner Thibodeau. Commissioner Lynch.
I, too, just want to thank you all for coming down and want to commend Commissioner Epperson for bringing this matter to our attention. He's definitely a veteran's veteran. He really is a veteran's veteran. My father is a veteran. I didn't go that path because I didn't think I could make it through basic training.
Yeah, you could.
But thank you all, and we will do all that we can to assist you. Thank you.
Commissioner Cox.
Just one more thing. We have our state gathering down in Lake Charles in a couple weeks. The governor is set to attend that.
You tell him just what you said today.
I can tell you, this wouldn't be the first time I went against him on an issue. I will have one of those resolutions in my hand and will put it in his hand.
And no more discussion. Let's vote, please. Passes. Next item.
Authorize Mr. Michael Delaney, Plant Manager of General Motors in Shreveport Assembly Plant, as a visitor for the Thursday meeting.
Moved by Mr. Epperson. Seconded by Commissioner Lynn. Any discussion on the motion? Please vote. That passes. Next, we have our consent agenda, and it goes through, and the last item we have is Mr. Epperson's new business relating to the industrial park.
I'd like to make a motion relative to the industrial park, if I might get a second. I move that the sale of any property or potential sales or negotiation for such property in the area known as the Shirley Francis Industrial Caddo Parish Industrial Park be immediately terminated. In furtherance of this motion, that the designation of this area of land be no longer referred to as Shirley Francis Industrial Park or Caddo Parish Industrial Park, and no more land be offered for sale for commercial or industrial use. I further request that this area be declassified as an industrial park and that any remaining vacant property be dedicated for the purpose of immediate development of a park and recreational area for the citizens of the parish of Caddo.
Second.
Thank you.
Moved by Commissioner Epperson, seconded by Commissioner Lynch. Any discussion on the motion?
Question.
Pardon me?
Question.
Yes.
What do we tell the people that own land up in that area, just like the guy who put up a sign today, commercial property for sale will build to your needs, that's on the other side of that subdivision? What do we tell them? They're within a quarter mile of this site. What do we tell them?
That's a good point. Want to speak? Get on the thing. No, you're not. Mr. Epperson?
I'm speaking of parish-owned property. We have no say-so of commercial property whatsoever. And if I'm correct in thinking, I assume that if property is located in the city or is private property by somebody that's going to be developed and is not already zoned, then it will have to go through the MPC or the appropriate authority to get it zoned that way. However, during my discussion relative to this motion, I was going to mention that any entity that's already located within that park be grandfathered. And of course, we know we do that. We aren't going to stifle anyone that's there. And I think that's the right thing to do.
Thank you, Mr. Epperson. Mr. Thibodeau?
I could probably support that motion if you took out the word immediate, because before I vote for immediate making of that a part, I'd like to know exactly what's going to happen there and what it's going to cost us. If you'd be willing to remove the word immediate, I would be willing to support it.
Yeah, I'd like to amend that to be for the purpose of development of a park and recreational area. I'll be amenable to that.
All right.
Mr. Lynn? Yes, Ms. Frazier?
One thing I just wanted to point out, Commissioners, was I'm not sure of what that area is actually zoned, and if there is a zoning change, it will have to go be forwarded to the MPC. So I would ask that once you have voted on this, please give us specific instructions to that end should that pass. And I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. I think that's... We understand what you're saying. I got it.
What is it?
Land?
Industrial?
It is zoned I-1, so it will have to go back before.
Okay, that's all.
I would like to think that any property that Caddo Parish has, I mean, if you're looking at a piece of property that's been zoned industrial since 1984, to just immediately go in and change it today without a stronger overview, I think that's a little more knee-jerk than what I would necessarily want to do. You have scattered development throughout all kinds of neighborhoods, and recently I've been flooded with master planning aspects where there is mixed-use zoning. Now, I realize that industrial zoning and residential zoning usually are not side by side. However, that industrial zoning was there before a lot of the residential zoning was there, and so surely those people knew that there would be some industrial there at some point, I would think. I would rather see an overview of all of our industrial parks so that we're not put into the position. I am with you, Commissioner Epperson, 100% that October of last year you should have been informed of what was going on, and that way all of this stuff wouldn't be landsliding down on all of us right now. And I would hope that if anything is happening in a commissioner's district that would cause this impact, that each commissioner is notified promptly. I would like to see all the industrial zones looked at. I mean, if it's no longer feasible and if it's not in the best interest of the community for it to be industrial any longer, or if it's in the interest of Caddo Parish to purchase a piece of land to turn industrial, then I think that should be something that we should look at also. As much as I would like to see something like that happen, I can't support that particular motion today. However, I would like something more comprehensive to oversee all of Caddo Parish as far as all of our industrial parks, so that we're not put in the situation that we were put in today, pulling the carpet out from underneath a developer or from underneath the economic development group that was given a task to do that got their legs chopped off today for the goodwill of the people, understandably. That's all, Mr. President. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I voted no.
Cool. Mr. Epperson?
Make her the motion.
Okay.
Is that all right? Sure. Okay. Let me make one thing perfectly clear now. I must state, this is not about Ken Epperson. This is about my constituents. This is about Ms. Corner, Mr. Ben, Ms. Palmer, Mr. and Mrs. Jernigan. As I stated, this is my 15th year. We have been looking at that property down there for a park since the 90s. Okay? That's a commitment. And somebody said that, no one's been down there longer than Ms. Corner. Ms. Corner's been there 43 years. And we're talking about trucking experience. I got 26 years with trucks from all over the United States and containers going overseas. I worked at Atlas Processing, Pennzoil Quaker State, Pennzoil Products Company, and now Calumet. Very familiar with the trucking industry. This is a commitment that the people requested of me as their commissioner, and that's why I'm doing this. So I would ask for your support to develop this land into a park. A positive vote today. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'm going to not support this motion today simply because it's today, and I believe it's a reaction from the events of today. And I'm not going to do anything this important without some time to study and look at all the options. I just think it's reckless. I do want to point out that I think the administration has received a lot of criticism, not all unfairly, but some, the way this matter was handled. For years, and I go back not quite as far as you, Mr. Epperson, but quite far, we were begging for people to show interest in our industrial parks. Now someone has after all these years, and we don't know what to do, or how to act. But in the administration's defense, I'm not aware of any clear criteria or plan in which they were supposed to handle these inquiries. When somebody was interested in parish property, what the mechanism was, what the pleasure of this body or previous bodies were. We have given him no instructions on how to handle this. So I would hope that Mr. Thibodeau, with the Economic Development Committee, would take that as one of their issues in a future meeting to develop some protocol as to when inquiries made as regards to parish property in our industrial parks. Given that, once again, I'll reiterate that, I'm not going to support this motion today. It's just too fast. I'm going to give it some thought. I just, no way I could sleep at night to not investigate and do something this fast. And with that, we will vote Mr. Epperson's motion. Okay, that passes. No other business, we're adjourned.